now listening to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast.
Welcome to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dre.
And we are here to talk about our April 2021 submissions.
We definitely are.
But first, let me talk about the MVP of the podcast. And that's my man, David B. Cole. And it's his voice that you're hearing that opens the podcast, and closes the podcast. David is one of the most kind and talented individuals I've ever met in my life. And I met him through my work. And he's a voiceover artist. He has done characters for documentaries and short films. He's done narrations. His voiceover services are highly underrated, in my opinion. And when we decided we were going to do this podcast, I was like, well, the first thing it's going to need is David's voice. Because everything sounds official if David says it. David's one of those people where I wish he would just read me the phone book. The phone book, kids, is a collection of telephone numbers that you would look up to contact people.
They used to be public, and they would show up at your doorstep.
Yes. And also the root cause of back injuries by several post office workers, I assume. But David, I wanted to tell you all, if you have a need for voiceover services or, narrations for your films, he's so versatile and he's so professional and he's so easy to work with. Go to davidbcole.com and connect with David because he's amazing and he's priced very fair in the market. And he's just a joy to work with. And David, if you're listening, and you're probably not because you're too busy, you're a man who has better interests than this. But thank you for lending us your voice for the podcast because you make us sound legitimate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd just be, hi, welcome to the podcast.
Well, and that is not a sponsored ad or anything.
No.
We adore him and his talents. So we just wanted to let you know he didn't pay us to say any of that.
No,
we actually paid him to do this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And let me pull back the curtain a little bit so you guys see how this is made. Every time we start to record the podcast, I have to go and play the intro from the previous podcast to get us in the mood, get us in the vibe, and I really just like to hear David's voice. So, all right, davidbcole.com. Go check him out if you're looking for great voiceover stuff. But we'll move forward because I'm going to try to not make this a 2-hour podcast.
Yes, let's keep it concise. Let's go.
And I'll start by saying thank you, everybody, again, for your great reviews that you've been leaving on Film Freeway. It really helps the festival. And it's just so great to see that people, even if they're not winners of a particular category, that they are enjoying this experience. And, it validates us in the time we spend to put this together because we know that the winners are enjoying it, honorable mentions are enjoying it, even if we're just talking about the film and even when we're giving some kind of tough feedback, people are at least appreciating the engagement. And we appreciate all of the follows, the subscribers, the reviews. And I'll just take a second here. If you haven't done a review on Film Freeway, please do so, or on Apple Podcasts, because we're available there, and you can write reviews there. And the more 5-star reviews we get there, I guess the better, the easier it is to be visible to other people who are seeking podcasts about film festivals or filmmaking.
And if you're watching or listening to this on YouTube, definitely subscribe to our channel and leave a comment on our individual videos. And, that way we can interact with you, and we like that.
Work the algorithm, people.
And even tap the notifications so that you know every time we upload a new video.
Which is really only once a month, so we won't bug you too much. And of course, it would be helpful if folks are sharing the video, the podcast on YouTube. I guess that's probably easiest to share from there. Share it to, if you're in filmmaker groups or anything like that, let people know that we're out there. And if they have projects, go to Film Freeway and submit, or go to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com and submit.
Yeah, our film awards are open every month. There's only a small few days at the end of every month where it's closed while we wait to open the new one. But we've got, for a good 27 days of every single month is your opportunity to submit your films. So if you'd missed the deadline 1 month, you just wait for the next month and submit then.
And speaking of value and what we're trying to provide to other filmmakers, I say to all of you who are listening, who have submitted, who are maybe part of a project that was submitted, seek out the winner links on the website. Every month we have a page that lists the winners, and we try to link to the projects or the Instagrams or Facebooks or website, anything that we can get from your information. We try to make it so that you can go and connect with these other filmmakers, because if this was a regular film festival and we were having screenings, you would have opportunities to network with everybody. And that's really the value of a film festival. It's not just showing your project, it's networking with other filmmakers. So this is the best way you can do that with us. So please check out the artists, check out the projects, go follow folks on Instagram, and see if there's anybody in your area that, you guys could connect with, or just support each other in this community, this indie filmmaking, music video, documentary, web series community. Let's support each other, because we're all we got. And Dre and I take a lot of time here at the end of the month to gather images and links to present this on the website, where, again, a lot of these film festivals don't. And we try to make it as easy and as simple as possible for your projects to be seen on our site, and for others to find you and connect with you or follow you in what you're doing. So go check everyone else out and click links and support your fellow IndieEye Film Awards alumni. And I need to take a moment to tell all of you who are submitting, it is very, very important that you fill out your Film Freeway project info. You have all sorts of opportunities when you're creating your project for submission to include information about yourself and the project and the people involved. Because a lot of the time I'm looking for cinematographer of this certain thing, or the editor, because there's people I want to mention when I see things that stand out. So take the time to fill out that information, and take the time to include links and media that... Oh, yeah.
I was going to say a cover letter.
Well, yeah, and that's another important thing. Again, this is I'm going to pull back the curtain and let you see what goes on, because I've been the submitter and I'm now doing the film festival thing. We're running that. It doesn't take much effort to create a cover letter and send it. You could make a generic cover letter and copy and paste it and just change the salutations of it. But I'll tell you what, I am biased towards submissions that have cover letters. If you took the time to have a cover letter, that lets me know you're going all the way and you're doing all the things. If you've submitted to IndieEye and you've submitted for a category such as Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor, we state in the rules on the film festival page, please include the names of the people you're nominating for these categories in your cover letter. And sometimes people don't. And that's frustrating, because you're not reading, you're not being thorough, and you're not giving us the information that's helpful, while other people are. So, make sure you're doing the best you can to be recognized and talked about by film festivals. And I'm not just talking about Matt at IndieEye, and I'm demanding these things from you. Everything you're submitting to, I want you to provide all of the best information you can to give you the best chance to be included in other festivals.
Because we're not the only ones who are looking for these things. These are not just our rules that are out of left field. These are rules that other film festivals do require. And it's something to just be mindful of.
Absolutely. And ideas for your cover letter could be, why did you feel inspired to make this film? Or what inspired you? Or, a little bit about your background. Look, don't write an autobiography because TLDR. But give us something so that we can kind of put a personality or an experience behind the name and the face. These things just help, and they help for all film festivals, not just ours. So fill out everything, include photos, ask yourself, what if I was a film festival, what would I want to use to promote this project? Do you have a poster? Go make a poster. I don't care if it's a music video. Make a poster. Make sure you're uploading images of the potential best actor that you might be nominating, or something like that, or a crew photo. Those types of things that we can use to also promote your project. So just, side note, that would be very, very helpful.
Okay, enough of the housekeeping.
All right, housekeeping's all done.
Now?
Yes, let's go.
Let's talk about these.
I'm going to throw a curveball this month because I'm going to start with Best Narrative Feature Film. Usually we work up to this kind of stuff, but I wanted to get to this one right away. And this is our Best Narrative Feature Film for April is Vasectomia, directed by Mark DeCostard. And this film is inspired by the November 2015 attacks in Paris. And what Mark did was he fostered this creative response and a way to kind of process his emotions following the attacks into making this film, because he said he found himself very angry and just wasn't feeling like himself, and he got creative with it, which is a great outlet, of course. And Vasectomia has very solid cinematography. It's got great quality audio. But here's the catch. This entire film, 2 hours and 22 minutes, is in French, and there are no subtitles. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to watch this film, but I'll be damned if it didn't hold my attention. I watched the whole thing, and while I didn't get all of the, I certainly don't speak French, I got the film, and I understood it, and I thought that is quite an accomplishment in filmmaking. If I'm not even speaking your language and you're not giving me subtitles, but I just watched your whole film. Yeah, and just the effort that went into this, and I can't say anything about the writing, but I thought the acting was fantastic and the production quality was fantastic.
Yeah, it looked great. It was very consistent. The mood of the film was all very consistent.
So great job, Mark DeCostard, for Vasectomia. Thank you for submitting to IndieEye. You are our winner for Best Narrative Feature Film.
Yay!
All right, so just moving right along in feature film, Best Documentary Feature I want to talk about. And this one is tough because our winner for Best Documentary Feature is Samson, directed by Chandra Vandry. This is a rough hour to watch. This is pretty serious, but it has a great ending. It's about FCE and dogs, and that is, let me try to get this right, fibrocartilaginous embolism. And it's a blood supply. It's when the blood supply is restricted or obstructed to the spinal cord in a dog, and it creates paralysis. Cartilage ends up obstructing the blood supply to the spine, and it will cause like a kind of a stroke of the spine. And so the animal can't move, might be able to move its neck and its head, but
not the limbs.
Not the limbs. And this hits home for me because I had a dog when I was younger who, while jumping off the back of a couch, ended up paralyzing her. She was like paralyzed from the abdomen down. So I think she could move her front legs, but her back legs she couldn't. And we had to put her down. And that's kind of what they deal with in Samson, is that Samson, who is the dog, had this FCE incident, and the initial diagnosis was very negative. Where you're being told,
There's nothing that can be done.
Quality of life, it's probably best to put the dog down. It'd be a long road to low chance of recovery. But this whole documentary, which is about an hour long, is focusing on the rehabilitation of Samson when that diagnosis wasn't positive. And, hey, spoiler alert, Samson is walking again and playing at the end of the doc. But what makes this really interesting is that they use a lot of home footage shot with their phones and stuff. And it shows them going through this experience. And it shows the different stages of recovery with Samson. And that's what makes it so hard to watch.
It is hard to watch. I was like, wow, I have to walk away because it is difficult because they are like your children, and it's like seeing your loved one struggle. And it was a struggle for Samson. I'm sure it was a struggle for his owners as well.
Yeah, well, it was a struggle for me. I'm sitting there watching it with our dog, laying up against me.
Yeah.
And, Samson is barking and whining in
that was
frustration.
The hardest part. Oh my gosh.
In frustration because he can't move. And, you got to feel so bad because you can't communicate with the dog and tell him, hey, we'll do the best for you. Yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine how an animal would feel that way. And I was saying, well, my first response to this is you got to put the animal down because this is just a miserable way to live. So, I was caught up in that same kind of decision that they were having to deal with, and the prognosis that they were having to deal with. But it's fantastic. It really goes into nutrition, animal nutrition, and how these things can impact a dog's health and maybe prevent these types of situations.
And I appreciated how much work that the owners put into his rehabilitation, because we got to see a lot of that, of the way that they would help him with his legs and help him encourage him with, treats, or encourage the movement, just so that it was really like a human going to physical therapy. And you have to do the repetitive things with them, and to have the patience to do that with an animal is super commendable.
It's amazing. And the love shines through. It was wonderful to see how much they were willing to dedicate their time and effort into the simplest things, to helping the dog go to the bathroom, and
eat,
and just making sure you're engaging and stimulating a dog that can't move and do it on his own.
Yeah, and still showing playfulness. They still, even though, and we're giving a lot away, but even though the dog, is just laying there, his head can move up and down, and almost like his neck and shoulders could, his abdomen could almost move him around. But the, owners were still playing with him and getting a little bit rough with him, and with his face, like you would do with the dog, and kind of just roughhousing as much as possible to try to get that stimulation. That was neat to watch.
So if you want to feel really awful
and then feel really good,
watch Samson by Chandra Vandry. You are our best documentary feature for IndieEye in April of 2021.
Yay!
And pro tip to all you people wanting to make documentaries, make it about a dog. Get people in the heart. Because Chandra's really playing unfair, because she's got a beautiful dog with a heartwarming story of recovery. How do you compete against
beat that?
Go make your documentary about a cute dog.
Yep.
That's going to help.
You'll win.
And we'll move right to documentary short. And I want to do a couple of honorable mentions before we get to our documentary short winner. Because documentary short was pretty strong this month. And I wanted to mention first a doc short we got called Navigating Rough Waters, How to Stop Past Wounds from Stealing Future Between Korea and Japan. It's a long title. But this is directed by Edward Jong-hoon Song, and Andrew Jong Ho Song. And this is a really interesting look at the relationship between Japan and Korea through the eyes of Korean high school students and some other dignitaries, and it focuses on building a mutual understanding and pursuing common interests with the two countries. Now, this totally opened up my eyes to this situation because I wasn't really aware of tensions between Japan and Korea, and I really pride myself on kind of geopolitical history and things like that, and this is just a complete blind spot to me. So it was really interesting to hear what these people had to say in the documentary, and I thought they did a really wonderful job of not only shining a light on the issues here, but they're really focused on the positive movement forward in bringing the two different countries, the two different cultures together, kind of through social media and things like that. I thought it was really interesting, and good job to these guys. And then another doc short that we got, man, this is an honorable mention, but it was really strong, and it's, I could see this winning anywhere, but it's called As Organism, and this is directed by Mo and Catherine Taylor. As Organism is a science journey in scale from subatomic to like cosmic scale. And I think this would be an excellent 30-minute program on the Discovery Channel, or this is something I would have loved to watch in science class in school. It's got excellent editing, excellent narration, great energy, and it's the type of thing that's just right up my alley. It's right up my youngest son's alley. This presentation they're doing, and it's covering all sorts of things, and it's done really well. And it was up against some really tough competition, but I did want to give it an honorable mention because we did go with a different winner. But great job to Mo and Catherine Taylor putting together As Organism. If you love science, go check this out and go follow them, because they do a lot of great work, and I feel like their stuff needs to be on a network or a science YouTube channel or something like that.
Like a little web series would be fun.
Thanks for submitting. Excellent work. So our winner for Best Documentary Short is called The Disparity, directed by Casey Flynn and written and produced by Madeline Kelly. The Disparity is a really interesting look at the COVID-19 quote-unquote vaccine and people's potential mistrust in the medical profession. It asks some really good questions with some really fair responses from the people they interviewed. And immediately what stands out to me with this is that the interviews are done so well. This is beautifully shot. And you don't normally see this in a documentary. There's usually not this much care in what I'm seeing with these submissions with how these shots are set up. But the framing and the lighting of most of the in-person interviews it's just fantastic with solid audio. So it's, really well cared for. But then there are even segments of the film that the interviews are being done via Zoom, and the framing of the Zoom calls is interesting because they're pointing the camera over the shoulder at a laptop where you're you feel like you're watching over the shoulder of the person they're talking to. So it's not just the Zoom footage put up on screen, which could easily be done. Mm-hmm. They're taking the time to really add depth.
Yep.
And I appreciate that often terrible Zoom quality video is pushed back away from the screen a little bit, and it lets a better camera capture the image of everything. Yep. So I just thought that was really interesting and a great choice. But overall, The Disparity asks some excellent questions that are really relevant. And I try to stay away from having political discussion here on the podcast or anything. But it asks some really good questions.
And I feel like it is definitely not one-sided. Which
right.
is sometimes what we get with these submissions where there's a there's an agenda. There's something,
one way
an
or the other.
opinion that someone wants to give. This was definitely, I felt like had both sides represented, whatever side, just the different questions that were being asked were definitely not just of one narrative, which was very refreshing to hear.
And just as an aside, this is, all in all, it's art. It's somebody's voicing an opinion. When you're creating something, feel free to express your opinion or beliefs about anything. Be all one-sided one way or the other. But I also will say that if you give something to both sides, or at least multiple views of a subject, you're broadening your audience. Because if you say, this is one thing and it's certain, well, you're kind of cutting off, maybe 50% of your audience that we're just going to click off of whatever they're watching. I'm a proponent for making whatever you want to make the way you want to make it. But in the commercial world and a world of where you're trying to get most exposure, be flexible enough, or, find a way to be flexible enough so that you are talking to a wider audience. And I think Casey Flynn did that with The Disparity while making it something beautiful to watch and with good sound quality. Yeah. And it didn't overstay its welcome. It's a 21-minute documentary short that,
got
I
its
was engaged
point
with.
across.
Yeah.
I mean, not that, I don't know, maybe it didn't even really have a point all in all. The point was, you get to choose. And that was...
At least you should.
And that was, the point wasn't you should believe this or you should believe that. It was you should have the choice. You should be able to choose. And, again, I appreciate that. But I felt like it got that point across in 20 minutes.
Right.
It didn't have to take an hour or an hour and a half just to say that.
And I believe it made reasonable skepticism acceptable, because I think you should be reasonably skeptic about things you're injecting into your body.
Yeah.
But hey, great job, Casey Flynn, Madeline Kelly, everyone involved in The Disparity. You are our winner for a documentary short.
Yay!
Now for Best Narrative Short, one of my favorite things we watched this month, had such a refreshing, original presentation.
Yeah, this one was so cool. Such a great concept.
So I'll just say it. Our winner for Best Narrative Short for April is Cutting Room Floor, directed by Ryan Orihuela. Ryan? Did I get that right? Hey, also, regarding putting information in Film Freeway, if you're someone who frequently has other people mispronounce your last name, go ahead and give us a phonic pronunciation of your name, because I feel like I really messed that up. But Ryan did an amazing job with Cutting Room Floor. Like I said, this is fresh and original. It's never boring. Every sequence is well thought out. And essentially what's going on here is the protagonist of a short film kind of takes over and wants to create his own story.
He goes off script.
Exactly. And this is really cool because there's this interaction with the script or the narrator played by Oliver Sola, who I thought did a wonderful delivery of his lines. But they're opening up this short film, and you have the text, the final draft, or the regular movie screenplay text is being overlaid over the screen in a very creative way, not just lazy and slapped on there. Sometimes it's layered within the image, which is wonderful, but it's showing that here's the screenplay, here's how it should go, and then the protagonist takes it his own way, and there's this banter back and forth between the writer, the narrator, and the protagonist, and they try all sorts of different things. It just looks like they had a blast conceiving of what they could do, and then they went out and did it super well. the execution of all of the different things they do, whether they did silent films, they go into action and horror and just all of these fun things they do. None of it is like, well, they tried pretty good.
Yeah.
No, they executed everything perfect and to a T. And this is one of the best short films we've seen in our duration here at IndieEye.
It was super fun.
So congratulations, Ryan, and everyone involved with Cutting Room Floor. You are our Best Narrative Short winner for IndieEye in April of 2021.
Yay!
Really great. And again, go to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com, go to the winners page for April, and go use the links we've provided to network with these people, or go see what else they've done, or go support them. Because this is the type of talent that you want to surround yourself with, or just maybe be an observer of what they're doing and how they're going about it. And maybe there's something you could take away from how other people are doing things. And just this is a shining example of what an indie film submission can be.
Yep.
And before we move on, I have an honorable mention for narrative short. And that's The War After the War, directed by Stone J. Mason. Now, there are some technical issues with this particular project, but it's really only it's a proof of concept video. And because of that, we can overlook the technical things. And the technical things were there was a camera setup that was autofocus hunting like crazy. There are some transitions that are used. Like there's a dissolve that's used when you're cutting from getting a cup of coffee to sitting down at a table. Those two clips are dissolve transitioned, and a dissolve is really meant to show the passing of time or perhaps location. You should have just straight cut from had the coffee, then your next shot is maybe sitting down at the table. But anyways, small minor the audio is not great, but there's some work put into it for effect, which is fine. This is a proof of concept video, and what The War After the War is about that makes it cool. It is about a veteran dealing with the loss of a fellow soldier and dealing with his memory of this soldier, and essentially having conversations in his head with this fellow soldier. And I thought the whole concept was really good, and it's an important subject, and it showed PTSD symptoms in a very fresh way to me.
Yeah, in reality, how it might actually happen for someone.
Right, and I think Stone J. Mason's whole attempt here is to show this idea and then maybe have it be something bigger. And I could totally see this little concept or this premise being a much bigger produced short or feature film.
Yeah, because I was going to say it has a great base. It has a great foundation. The story is different than something we've seen. It just needs some finesse.
Sure, and it certainly got its point across, and I thank you, Stone, for submitting to IndieEye. It was a good watch, and I love the premise, and I hope you move forward with it. And speaking of really bad transitions, I'll move on to Best Ensemble Cast, and I would love to introduce you all to Marcus Evans, who directed Love Me Later. And Marcus is a New Jersey filmmaker who says he's a horror kind of guy, and he's gone out of his comfort zone to make a comedy. And he's done it really well. He's written a good comedy, and he's directed a good comedy. There are some issues we'll talk about, but Love Me Later was just such a fun watch. And this is about a female office worker who is being pursued by a secret admirer, and her goal throughout the film is to figure out who it is around the office that is her secret admirer. So it's this, kind of whodunit comedy, and I love all of the characters. I especially enjoyed Kevin Preco as Shaquan and Monte Savoy as Micah. Bridget Grayson as Meg, the female who's trying to figure out who's her secret admirer. She was wonderful. And really, everyone was super fun to watch in this. But here's where I would say, here's where I have some constructive criticism. And I don't have a lot for everybody this month. But just for this specifically, because I enjoyed it so much, I'd say that the writing is fun. The cast is brilliant. Some great choices are made. It's a wonderful premise, Marcus. But here's what the problem was for us. The audio is bad. And you put so much work into this. I'm wondering, how did you capture sound? Because there's no
dialogue we can't hear.
It's so hard to hear.
Yeah. We're missing the jokes. Like, we know that the jokes are there, but we can't understand them.
Right. It's really, we had to work so hard to pay attention to what they're saying that it was difficult to just go with the flow of the comedy. Now, we got it and we loved it.
And it had good pacing.
Yeah. But we had like moments where this is where directing comes in, Marcus. A lot of your characters they're just talking. They're not projecting. They're talking and they're saying their lines. They're not saying their lines. Like, I talk in a normal voice. If you were in the room with me, I would talk like this. But I'm doing a podcast, so I'm kind of projecting into the mic. So I don't know if that comes out, if that comes across very well in this podcast, but people are kind of talking under their breath. They're not projecting the lines. And in comedy, that's so important. And you had some people with great delivery and great, they're always engaged in their character. And I mean, come on, Micah. I hope everyone gets to see Love Me Later, because it's just it really is fun. But again, we
missed the good parts,
and it's because of the audio. Because there's not care taken with the audio. There's shot reverse shot where the room tones are different, and these are the type. Don't just hurry and shoot it and edit it and put it out. I know everyone wants to do that, but you've got to take that double extra time and capture the audio correctly, and then process the audio correctly. It's not just editing the clips together. It's doing the work in post for the audio, because that's how you most respect your audience, in my opinion. But also, I think Love Me Later was twice as long as it should have been. I think a sub 15-minute Love Me Later with good audio, with this cast, with Marcus directing, I think this would be a super strong entry into any film festival, which is praise, because I think you've created something really great. I just think it runs long and then it's tough to watch because of the audio problems. But don't let that detract you from how great of a thing it is. Marcus, I don't know how well you do horror, but you do comedy just fine. So I think you have a wide range of talent, and I'd love to see more work from you. I hope you submit again, but your Love Me Later cast wins for our Best Ensemble cast for April of IndieEye.
Yay!
So great job, Marcus, and everyone go seek out Marcus Evans and anything you can find on Love Me Later, and hopefully he'll let people see it. It's hilarious. Great job. And speaking of sound, now we go to the other spectrum of sound design, and we'll talk about our best sound design. And this was an interesting submission we received by Julian Serdeau, and it's called Alterify. And what Julian did here was, in the midst of our year of a pandemic and people trying to figure out how do I still create something when I maybe can't get everyone together to work on a production, is he took stock footage and kind of just created a story out of the stock footage. Now, initially I saw this entry and I was like, well, you're cheating. You can't just take stock footage and call it a movie. But dang it, I had fun.
Apparently you can.
But yeah, this is really fun. And there's kind of an eternal sunshine of the spotless mind concept here, because Alterify is this memory alteration simulation where it starts out, it's kind of a commercial, but you then experience somebody using the service, and then it maybe going wrong. But it's basically trying to fill in, instead of maybe having a miserable past year where you couldn't do the things you wanted to do, it gives you memories of a great year, like the best year you've ever had.
Yeah,
and
you meet your future spouse, and you go on every trip you've ever imagined.
Yeah, and it's great. And he uses this AI voice, Lucy, and that's perfect. There's good music choices. There's audio's really clean. The sound effects are on point. So it's 100% our best sound design for this month, and that's Alterify by Julian Serdeau. Great job, Julian.
Yay.
And next up is Best Cinematography. And the winner for Best Cinematography comes from Simon Bates, who submitted Manedonia. Now, I'm still not 100% sure what's going on in Manedonia. This is a really experimental thing he's done. And he shot it mostly on an iPhone 11 Pro Max. And there is footage in Manedonia that takes place near an ocean side, like rocks and the beach and stuff like that. And it's just stunningly beautiful. And I really loved, I don't know if you did post color or anything like that, or if this is just straight out of the iPhone, but I loved these water rock shots at the ocean side. And this film is exploring mental health, specifically for men. And the intent is to show a man going through some mental health issues, and it's very abstract, and then him coming to terms with that it's okay to not be okay. So this is Simon Bates' concept with this film. I was just not personally following along as a crazy man myself. I was not really kind of understanding the imagery and those types of things. So this is a very artistic look in something that's clearly coming from Simon's imagination. And, so just because I didn't quite get all of the things that I was seeing, that doesn't mean somebody else doesn't, but Simon did. And Simon's getting best cinematography because of what he got out of his iPhone, specifically for these oceanside shots. I mean, you watched this. Yeah. What did you think about that?
Yeah, the shot selections were all very interesting. And I don't say interesting like, oh, that's interesting. I say it like they were very interesting. So low shots that made sense. Shots from almost inside the perspective of where the person was. Like there's a shower scene. It's not gross or anything. It's not, psycho, nor is it sexual.
Okay.
But it's just, you felt like you were in there, so the tightness, the wide shots, there was just such a variety of shots, essentially. There were such an array of just showing off, basically,
and some interesting
cinematography.
Some interesting drone shots, too, which shouldn't be overlooked. So, Simon, really cool, interesting submission, and you're a winner for Best Cinematography for April.
Yay!
And another fun watch that we received was called Low Heat, and Michael Antonio Gonzalez in Low Heat as Diego wins our Best Actor for April. And I would also like to recognize Ricardo Randall as Jamal in Low Heat because he makes the film really fun to watch. But in a month where there wasn't a lot of Best Actor submissions and a lot to work with there, I kind of wanted to give multiple people Best Actor, but in only picking one, we're going to go with Michael Antonio Gonzalez, who did a wonderful job in Low Heat. And Low Heat is directed by John Carroll DeShazer, which is an ambitious project. There was a ton of work done to make this film. It's 48 minutes long. There are some technically messy aspects to it, but it's an impressive achievement considering how high they're aiming in storytelling. There's a lot of locations. There's a lot of stuff going on. Just moving car stuff. And, I mean, just the things that I recognize as really difficult to pull off. John Carroll DeShazer went out and just grabbed this by the tail and completed it and did a great job, I thought. But we're giving this Best Actor recognition to Michael Antonio Gonzalez. But just kind of a special mention to Ricardo Randall, who did a great job in Low Heat as well. So congratulations to John Carroll DeShazer for creating Low Heat, and Michael Antonio Gonzalez. Good job as Diego.
Yay.
And I've got to step back to Marcus Evans' Love Me Later and say that our best supporting actor for this month is Kevin Preco as Shaquan.
Yeah, for sure.
From
like the moment he came on screen.
Absolutely. Just the quips and the looks and everything was just so good. I would love to see Kevin. He's one of those guys where we've come across like Michelangelo Blackwell. I mean, Kevin Preco is somebody I want to see do more things. I want to see you on my TV and everything.
He's got such a cool look, and his body acts as well.
Yeah, he's in
animated.
It completely. It's great. Mm-hmm. Great job, Kevin Preco. You're our best supporting actor for April.
Yay!
And great job, Marcus Evans, for casting Kevin in Love Me Later.
For sure.
And here's where I stop again to tell submitters, filmmakers, people who are creating projects in Film Freeway, please give film festivals all of the best pertinent information you can, because our winner for Best Original Music, Song and Score is a song called Break the Chains. This was submitted by Rita Wales, and I believe it's directed by Kim Palzis, but it's a collection of images over this song, and the song, Break the Chains, is performed, from what I can tell, by Johnny Walker. And there's, maybe it's me. It's not me. But there's not, the correct information just isn't there. And it's not clear enough for me to say, okay, I want to say who's doing it, who's submitting it. Did somebody direct this video? Like, who's in charge of putting the images over it and everything? Well, not particularly relevant for this category, for Best Original Music, Song, or Score. Because we're giving it to Break the Chains. But I don't know whether to give it to Johnny Walker, who apparently is singing the song, or to the director or to the submitter. So I will say that Break the Chains is our choice for Best Original Music, Song, and Score.
Yay!
And it's a music video, or at least it is a song about civil rights and social injustice, but done really well. The acoustics in the song are beautiful. What I assume is Johnny Walker's voice, I really loved. It was catchy, in a enjoyable, not a pop tune kind of way, but just like a really good groove.
Yeah,
like you could
a
feel the
social
soul
ballad. Yeah.
Yeah, you could feel the soul in the intent. So I really did enjoy that. And there were strong music videos submitted this month overall. So I kind of caught a break by this being submitted to our Best Original Music, Song, and Score category, because Best Music Video is a whole different thing.
It's a vibe.
Right. So congratulations to Rita Wales, and if I'm mispronouncing names, I'm sorry, but Rita, Kim, Johnny, congratulations on Break the Chains. You're our winner for Best Original Music, Song, and Score. Okay, so Andrea, you chose Best Director this month. Let's do that category, and let's talk about that. Why don't you tell them who it is?
Yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed Jeremy Carr's Moments. It was actually, of all the submissions, the one that stood out the most for me. And I really enjoyed it. It was short, to the point, and was directed excellently. Is that a word? Excellently?
If you say it, it's a word. Yeah, and don't forget, Jeremy also starred in Moments. He is delivering,
lead, right?
Yeah, he's delivering all this dialogue. And so this Moments is beautifully shot. It's very well edited. There's a score that's fantastic but non-intrusive. And
it just keeps you in there.
Right. It keeps you in the emotion of where you're supposed to be. And it did a lot with very little. and conveyed emotions so well without telling me what the emotions are, which is what a great director can do. And Jeremy did that so well. So I completely agree. Jeremy Carr, our best director for IndieEye, great job with moments, just beautiful work, and I'm looking forward to whatever's next.
Yeah, the story was really a cool concept, and when you talk about directing, you are directing people to, like you said, act a certain way without telling you how they're supposed to feel. And for me, there was one scene where one of the actors changed their emotion, and she had 0 lines.
Yeah.
0 lines in the whole entire film.
But you felt it.
But you totally could tell that something changed with how she was feeling. And that is, I mean, kudos to the actress, but also to the director, because that's kind of their job, is to tell them what they're supposed to be portraying to us.
It's a very, very simple thing, but it does.
I would have loved a different ending, but that's okay. I'm just going to let it sit there and be what it is.
Endings are subjective, and I will say that I think it was brave for Jeremy to end moments the way he did. And I don't want to give too much away, but I think
it did feel right, I guess, from his arc as a character.
Yeah,
it did feel like he made peace.
And Jeremy, what I'm saying is that. And you probably know this, but everyone wants something to happen at the end of moments, and you don't quite give the audience that. And I respect that as a bold choice. But yeah, overall, just what a fun short to be able to watch this month. So thanks for submitting. And Jeremy Carr, I look forward to seeing what you do next.
Yay!
And while we're in the Best Director category segment here, I have to talk about Brian Henderson, who submitted a music video called Made It. And so this is where I'm going to go to hell, because Brian made this is a beautiful song, a really great video. It's so good and it's so inspiring, so uplifting. I encourage you, go to the website, go seek it out. Brian Henderson, the song is called Made It. Go check it out. It's awesome. But Brian submitted under a different category than music video, which kind of gives me leeway because we chose a different music video as our winner. And it's in stark contrast to Brian Henderson's Made It. But I want to say to Brian that I loved your video. I loved the song. And you're another artist where I want to see more of this. I just thought the message is so wonderful. And please, and you're an honorable mention, absolutely. But please don't hate me for what comes next. And we've saved what comes next for last because we want to make sure you've put the kids to bed.
Or you've put your AirPods in.
This is not safe for work. Because our best music video is a super fun hip-hop joint called Effed Up.
But it's the whole word.
Yeah.
It's the real word. We're just trying to be...
For the sake of just trying to be
classy
here. And this is a song by Too Easy. And if you're looking that up, it's the number 2 and letters E and Z. The video is directed by Vaughn Johnson. And you can find Vaughn at vaughnsvisuals.com. And you may want to, if you're in Northern California, Sacramento Bay Area, up this I-80 corridor, Vaughn is clearly good at what he does because he's managing this backyard party of wildly different personalities, and they're doing this super fun video. And look, it's about getting drunk, it's about drinking and partying, and it's about fun. And just the track is excellent, the beat's excellent, it's a catchy hook. Too Easy's lyrics are just fun, quotable. I love his energy. This is a backyard party that I would have loved to have been to. And it's been stuck in my head since I first saw the video 3 weeks ago. And I'm so glad he submitted. So I think Too Easy needs a little more recognition. But Vaughn needs some recognition here. This is not a groundbreaking video. This is a party video. But it's just so damn fun, I thought.
Yeah, the song is super catchy. And we come from 90s hip hop backgrounds. So it really had that flavor, that vibe. And I really enjoyed the different shots that Vaughn was able to capture. I mean, with a music video, just like a movie, you're doing the same shot or the same takes of a part of a song, like several different times to get different kinds of shots for that thing. But I thought that the little comedic parts that were built into it with the guy in the chair trying to fill up a cup, or just every time you watch it, you see a different person and you focus on that person and what are they doing? And then the next time you watch it, you see someone else and they're doing something silly, and, they do like a Soul Train dance line, and it's just fun.
Yeah, and I love Too Easy's This Is Me and I'm Doing Me kind of vibe. And fun is the word. That's the whole word about this video. And you get a bunch of people together to film a video like this, man, I just, from experience, I know it can be chaos. Things probably aren't going to go as the way you planned, and you just kind of got to get what you get. So you do need somebody behind the camera who knows how to get the elements that you're going to need in the edit to make it work. And they do that. And then after the video, I really love this too, because after the song, they have clips from different people who were there, having fun, like kind of a behind the scenes look at it. So that was a fun add-on too.
But yeah, it's not just fly on the wall, guerrilla style filmmaking. It looked like it was directed, like, hey, we're going to do the whole song with everybody, in one shot. And we're going to do that whole thing. And then we're going to do the song all the way through with the Soul Train line. And then so that takes someone who knows that those shots are necessary. It's not just, okay, well, wherever you guys go, I'm just going to follow you and just capture whatever happens as we play the song once, so it does take someone who knows what to capture, and the shots were well executed for sure.
And you can see for yourself, because if you go to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com, you can click the link and watch the video on the winners page for yourself, and you will know what we're talking about here.
But also, just a reminder, not safe for kids, not safe for work.
It's not safe for me.
It's not safe for adults. It's not that bad.
But I'm loving it, though, and great job. Now I'm going to go check out more of Too Easy's music, and, I'm lobbying for myself to be on the remix. You got to put me on the remix because I got bars for you. And Vaughn's visuals, great job. It's a great edit, and I'm sure managing that shoot had its challenges, but you guys really pulled it off, and you made it seem like such a fun vibe. And the song is just so damn catchy. It's in my head all the time. So great job. Effed Up by Too Easy, directed by Vaughn Johnson, is our best music video for IndieEye Film Awards in April of 2021.
Yay.
And we could wrap it up from there.
Yeah.
So I guess we tell people, please leave a review on Film Freeway.
Yeah, please follow us on Instagram.
And go follow these other artists
and
connect and try to network on your own. Go see what you like. And if you have questions or comments about things we've said or what's, how this all works for IndieEye, leave comments on the YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube video.
Or if you have direct questions, you can always contact us at hello@IndieEyeFilmAwards.com. And thank you all for your submissions for April. We're going to get out of here. So can't wait to see what's coming up in May. And congratulations to all our winners.
Bye.
If you'd like your project discussed on the podcast, go to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com and submit to our open monthly competition. Find us on Instagram and YouTube, IndieEye Film Awards. Thanks for listening to this episode of IndieEye.